You're listening to Pathways and Means, a podcast that inspires and shows people how to tap into their creative spirit. We sit down with leaders and makers in every industry to talk about their process, what inspires them, and about how to build incredible things with the power of creativity. The future belongs to the creators, so come join us. This is Pathways and Means.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into Pathways and Means, another very special episode today. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. Ryan Brinker here. No, I will not trim the beard. Please stop asking. We have a really great guest today. So I've had a background in sort of like quasi-political work, and that's an area of interest for people. I think everybody has a sort of idea of what they think it might be like being in these arenas and making these decisions and having these conversations, and they wonder how they would be able to perform or what it's like day to day. And that takes a certain amount of openness and transparency among public officials. And we are lucky enough and absolutely honored to have such a public official here today. Aaron Mays is the County Commissioner for District 3 here in Shawnee County, and he's agreed to sit down with us and give us a discussion here on Pathways and Means and sort of shine a light on public service and on his specific office and see what that's like. So, Commissioner Mays, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, I think to start with, maybe just to set the stage a little bit, what was your initial inspiration as far as getting into this line of work at all?
Well, I don't know that there was any kind of an aha moment necessarily. I've always tried to be pretty involved in the community wherever I can, even going back to my childhood. We volunteered at places when I was a kid. And so I would say that if the closest thing to an aha moment, it was probably in maybe 2015 or 2016 when Heartland Visioning started up. And I had been involved with Topeka Public Schools Foundation and Big Brothers Big Sisters and a couple of other organizations, and really felt like, I wanted to see this community succeed and wanted to get more involved. I heard about Heartland Visioning and sort of what they were doing and how really just anybody who wanted to get involved could just show up to a meeting. So I did that, uninvited, showed up to a meeting. I walk in, the mayor's right there, the CEO of, several different local businesses, the county commissioners are there, and I thought, wow, this is really cool. What a, meeting of the minds here. And so over time, kind of got more involved with that. That morphed into Momentum 2022 later on down the road. And I never really thought that I would run for public office, but then I would say in 2016, my city councilwoman at the time, Elaine Schwartz, decided that she wasn't going to run for office and sent out an announcement email. And I, within about 30 seconds of reading it, turned to my wife, and we were kind of like, well, maybe I ought to go for that. So we talked about it and decided, so I ran for city council. And then after a couple of years, my county commissioner, Bob Archer, resigned his spot, and I thought, shoot, maybe I'll go ahead and try and be county commissioner instead, and that's where I am now. So I guess it's really just an effort to be more involved in the community as much as I possibly can and do something that I feel like I'm pretty good at. So that's really my inspiration, is just to make an impact.
No, I think that's terrific, and I feel like maybe a lot of Kansans might feel that way, where they want to get involved, and as it turns out, throwing your hat in the ring is obviously the first way to do that. So here's a question that is kind of basic, but I don't know if it's one that you get that often. What's it like being county commissioner? Like, what's it like day to day?
I think if you maybe asked my children, what does your dad do for a living? They would probably tell you that I just talk on the phone and go to meetings. And that's a lot of it. Our job is unique in that we cover a lot of different subject matters at the county. We've got everything from the jail to elections to parks and rec to roads and bridges. And so we are also involved with the chamber and what they're doing over there through economic development and tourism. And so it's a ton of different hats, and the only way to be successful at that is to trust the staff as much as we can and to learn as much as we can about what they do so that we can make educated decisions when the time comes.
Yeah. So I'm fascinated at the human component in terms of everybody has these images of public officials as if, you see them day to day and you see their positions on things and you kind of feel like you know them in a way. But having sort of been closer in the elected official space, you can tell that there's a humanity behind there that's not always caught by the cameras or by the tweets or the press releases. Mm-hmm. And one of the elements of that's the most interesting to me is every office and everything worth doing really comes with its own set of challenges. So you had this idea about wanting to be in city council, wanting to be in county commission, and I'm sure that you had an idealistic view of it, of all the great things you'd be able to do. And when you arrive, all of a sudden there are challenges. And that's, that just happens with any organization that matters. What are some of those challenges just day to day in terms of trying to do the work you want to do?
I would say probably the biggest, for me at least, the biggest challenge is sort of addressing I don't know if it's a misunderstanding or misinformation about what exactly we do and what our role is. I think we have a specific role in sort of this, lineage of government, federal, state, county, city, township. It gets very minute and it gets very broad. And so we have to fill our role in government. And I think that a lot of times in a county like Shawnee County, where we have one large city that's entirely encompassed in our county, it's a unique situation that a lot of people, I feel like if you live here, you don't realize that most communities don't have that. And so explaining why the county does this and the city does that is difficult for us because I think a lot of times people get frustrated with things. They have ideas that they want to see happen and they don't know the appropriate place to go, and they don't understand a lot of times why this entity cannot accomplish that. And a lot of that is just, we're playing within the rules. We're given laws from the state government and the federal government about what we can and can't do. And it's tough to explain that nuance to folks sometimes. And I would say that's probably the most frustrating thing for me. Obviously, there's plenty of other frustrating things, but that one I think really comes to the front of my mind.
Yeah, we ran into that at the state also. It's interesting how people have sort of a conception of the government does this, or I don't like that the government is doing this or that. And there are so many layers and so much different nuance in these different areas about the overlap and what can the city do, what can the county do, what can the state do, and that can be tough. That can be tough for people to unravel. I was at the state for 3 years and it was kind of tough for me to unravel, just looking at where are the areas of jurisdiction for us. So I can imagine that would be difficult. In terms of how you expected the job to be versus how it is it what you thought it would be like?
Absolutely not. And a lot of that I think just goes to COVID.
Yeah.
When I came onto the county commission, I knew what the role of county commission was, I felt at the time. And 6 months in, COVID hits, and I all of a sudden find out that we're the Board of County Health as well. Yeah. And so that was a role that I hadn't really considered being at the forefront of people's minds. And so that pretty much took up all of our time for about a year and a half, right about the time I started to kind of hit my stride with the day-to-day operations of Shawnee County. And now I feel like we're pretty much back to the day-to-day, but things are still a little bit different than what they were. And so just an example real quick, when I started on Shawnee County Commission, our number one issue was Family Park and the pickleball courts that were going to be at Family Park. And it's been quite some time since we've had a conversation about that, because we've got what I would consider to be more important issues coming to us on a regular basis. And we'll get back to that. I think that's something that, is still, there are still people that are very interested, but COVID kind of put that on the back burner. You know what I mean?
Right, absolutely. So when you were looking to enter this position in the first place, what were some of the goals that you had in mind? What basically made you want to have this office, the changes that you could make?
I think progress. I could see this wave of momentum coming into our community, and it was exciting, and I wanted to be a part of it as much as I could. And this was an opportunity, I feel like, that I could take my strengths and kind of apply them to my community. And maybe, I don't know about put my stamp on something, but at least, take some pride and ownership of some of the things that we're accomplishing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, with that in mind, this is something that, like, every person who's in public office or in any kind of position of authority, I often will find myself asking this question. It's one of my favorites. So you have the goal, the mission, the principle behind, why you got into the office to begin with. Mm-hmm. And then as it is, you'll sort of hit the day-to-day of this needs to get done. It happens this way. It's always been like this. It's always been like that. How can a person hold true to those principles and those goals and keep that in mind while still dealing with the day-to-day noise of actually running a bureaucratic office?
Well, I think what I try and do is remain the same person in a professional capacity that I am at home or with my friends. I am a person that generally tries to keep my emotions out of things as best I can and make my decisions based on reason and logic. And that's how I run my day-to-day life as a baseball coach, as a dad, as a business owner. I try and not make my decisions based on fear or anger or desire. It's just, I think about things, I evaluate every side of an issue if I can, and I try and make the best decision, the best evidence-based decision I can.
Absolutely. So shifting gears just a little bit, in your political career, you've been focused on Topeka and Shawnee County. What is it about Topeka and the surrounding areas that's unique, that you thought would be worth the service to?
It's the people. I mean, I don't know how you could answer it any other way. We are, all my friends and family are here. I'm a lifelong Topekan. So, of course, there are many people here that I love. And what I can say about our area and our people as a whole is that we're resilient. Topeka at one time was growing and thriving, and then the Air Force left town in the early 70s, sort of left us for dead. Thousands of jobs left. We continued to persevere. Minniger's Foundation and Topeka State Hospital left town. Again, lots of good paying jobs left town. And we just continued to plug away. And we're tough. And then, in the early 2000s, a group of people got together and decided, we're not going to sit here and just deal with what's been given to us. We're going to start making our own opportunities. And so we had many people from the private sector and the public sector that took some risks, that have really invested a lot of time and energy and money to improve our city and county. In my case, I'm a county guy now, so but our community as a whole. And it's been just sort of a gritty effort to build this place up to what we think it can be, and we still got plenty of room to grow. But there are many people that are working hard to come back and to thrive and be a really successful community.
Right. So I have two final questions for you.
Okay.
We appreciate your time. Don't want to take up too much of it. I know you're a busy man. The first one is looking into the future of Topeka and Shawnee County. What do you think that looks like just in the next few years? Are we just looking at way more forward progress, or what are you excited about?
Sure. I think I think there's still a lot of things. That I know of some things that are really exciting that are happening. I'm not really at liberty to talk about yet, and I hope you understand that. But
Right.
There are some really exciting things happening. Some things that are happening that I feel I can talk about is, the recent renovations of the Stormont Vale Event Center. That's still pretty fresh, and I think that word is getting out in the entertainment community, and I think we'll start to see bigger and better acts come through. It's, I think, going to be a more profitable venture for our taxpayers to decrease the subsidies that we were paying out years ago for that. We also, Shawnee County just took ownership of the Great Overland Station about a year ago, and we've already seen the impact of that. We've just redid the War Memorial up there, the Veterans Memorial, and then we also brought in Sue the T-Rex, and I can't take credit for that. I'll give all the credit to Visit Topeka, but what we're seeing is an underutilized facility that is bringing big things to our community, and I think we'll see more and more of that. But then, sort of outside of things like that, I think what we can expect to see is, hopefully at least, what I'm going to do my best to accomplish is a better cooperation between governments. Mm-hmm. We attend, or I attend at least, a group called the Intergovernmental Cooperation Council, which is in a group that we get together and have breakfast. It's got all the school districts there, all the townships, the county, the city, all of the taxing entities, the airport, the library, and we talk about issues. We get to know one another so that if something comes up where we need each other's assistance, we have those relationships built. And then obviously from my time at the city, I've got some friends over there as well that I talk to on a semi-regular basis. And so the cooperation between different governmental entities is something that I'd really like to kind of build those bridges for the future.
Yeah. And then the same question, but for you specifically, maybe in your professional life or political life, what does the future look like for you? Is there anything you're excited about?
Well, political life, you never know. Those things, it could be over tomorrow. We see that all the time. But professionally, I'm working right now on opening a new business here in town, hopefully pretty soon. So we'll see how that plays out. But I'm just going to continue to do my thing as best I can, whether in office or out of office. And obviously being a husband and a dad comes first in all of my ventures. And so I can't predict the future, but I'm just hoping, I'm around for a while and can make an impact wherever possible.
Terrific. Well, Commissioner Mays, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
And if people are interested in learning more about the County Commission, where should they go?
snco.us is our county website. We've got links on there to just about every department. So if you want to find me, I'm on the commission page.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening to this Pathways and Means. I hope you found it as interesting as I did. I thought this was a wonderful conversation. If you're interested more about public service or government in general, I'd say get out there and, do your research, see what's covered by the city, see what's covered by the school board, that sort of thing. If you're in Shawnee County, then snco.us.
Yep, that's right.
Great place to start. All right. For Pathways and Means, this is Ryan Brinker, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you found today's episode informative and inspiring. If you liked what you heard and you'd like to hear more, visit pathwaysmeans.com to check out a ton of additional content from the CPM team. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok, where we post daily content and engage with creators like you. Signing off for Pathways and Means, we'll see you next time.